There's something about you that's way stronger than your mind. The mind can be your friend, but it can also be your worst enemy. You've worked so hard to get where you are now, so enjoy it. But here's the catch, you can't really enjoy it if your mind is constantly stuck thinking about last week or worrying about what might happen tomorrow. True enjoyment comes from arriving exactly where you are right now, with what you have in this very moment. That's it. There's no wishing for a different past, no hoping for something better in the future. You're here, in the present. And the more you realize that, the more you weave that understanding into your everyday being, the more your whole experience starts to shift. It brings more presence into your life naturally. If I look at myself, most of the time I'm present. When I'm not, I notice it. That absence of presence, I catch it. For me, being present is just my normal state. For others, it might feel different. But the truth is, you're always present. You just might not be aware of it because there's a layer of thoughts blocking you from feeling it. If you clear those thoughts away, you'll suddenly realize, you are here, right now. One big thing we often believe in this world is that to feel fulfilled, we need to achieve something. We need a diploma, a certain job, money, a car, something to check off the list. This mindset is all about doing and having. But the realization I'm sharing with you right now is different. It's not about doing or acquiring anything new. You already have yourself. It's just covered up all the time by noise, distractions, and busyness. So this moment isn't about adding more things to your life. It's about letting go of what's covering the truth of who you are. It's not about doing, but undoing. This is the Eastern approach, the balance. It doesn't mean you throw away everything you've learned or everything you're working toward. It means you open up to other perspectives too. Sometimes, this approach will make more sense to you, other times, the more common, doing, approach feels right. The important thing is to have access to both views and choose which one works for you at any given time. But here's the key, if you don't even know this inner presence exists, you can't tap into it. So whatever you learn in life, it's never wrong. You never know when something might help you. Better to have something in your toolbox than need it and not have it. This is just one of many paths out there. I've talked about this path my whole life because I walked it myself. It doesn't mean it's the only way, just my way. It's how I understand these practices and how they connect with building a life that feels worth living. So what do the Shaolin practices do for me? They help me build a quality life. Plain and simple. Ultimately, it's the mind that shapes everything. You strengthen the body through movements that are not only functional but sometimes quite beautiful and whole in themselves. It's a full experience, diet, structure, discipline, timing, everything working together. For example, there's a rhythm, waking up at a certain time, training at a certain time, eating at set hours. That kind of structure is really powerful. Instead of picking and choosing little bits here and there, yoga from one place, breathing exercises from another, dance moves from somewhere else, and creating a mix and match routine, there's something to be said for following a full tradition, a culture. Sure, a mix and match might feel like freedom. You get to decide what you want. But structure? Structure gives you direction. Like, you eat breakfast at 8 o'clock, train from 9 to 11 o'clock, and then you don't eat again until 1 o'clock. Your mind might scream, why can't I just go to the kitchen whenever I'm hungry? But there's something inside you, deeper than the mind, that's stronger than that urge. The mind can be your friend, yes, but it can also trick you into wanting more and more, without limits. If I say you eat only 3 times a day, the first few weeks you'll be hungry, you'll think about food all the time. But eventually, you accept it, okay, 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. That's it. And what happens then? Real freedom shows up. Now you're free because even if you feel hungry at 2 o'clock, you know the next meal is at 6 o'clock, and you're okay waiting. You're no longer a slave to every craving or thought telling you to eat now, now, now. That's what freedom really means, not doing whatever your mind wants at every moment. It means you can say, I can wait. That's true freedom. Now, this is where discipline and structure come into play, not as restrictions, but as tools to help you experience that kind of freedom. It might feel strange or even difficult at first. You might ask yourself, why can't I just do whatever I want? But think about it, if you give in to every impulse, aren't you actually controlled by your mind instead of being free? Freedom isn't the ability to do anything anytime. Freedom is the power to choose what serves you best, even if that means saying no to yourself sometimes. It's the freedom to not be ruled by temptation. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine having one partner, your spouse, someone you love and respect. In today's culture, people often say, well, it's a free world. You can flirt, have fun, and live how you want. But where does that kind of freedom really lead? More often than not, it leads to suffering, both for yourself and for those around you. If you're constantly chasing after every attraction or temptation, you become a slave to desire. That's not true freedom. True freedom means being able to stay committed, to honor your promises, and to live in a way that reduces suffering, not just for yourself, but for the people in your life. So when I ask, what kind of freedom are you talking about? I want you to really think about it. Is it freedom that eventually causes pain and chaos? Or is it a freedom that lets you live peacefully and respectfully with others? This freedom, the one that creates harmony, is the kind I want to talk about. It's a freedom where I can live my life authentically, and you can live yours too. I don't need to tell you that your way is wrong, and you don't need to tell me that mine is wrong. That's true freedom in community. And honestly, no one really has all the answers. Not me, not you, not anyone. What I'm sharing here is just my observation, my experience. If what I say resonates and works for you, that's wonderful. If it doesn't, that's perfectly okay too. Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about something many of us struggle with, energy, especially the kind that feels drained at the end of the day. What's sucking your energy most in the evening? Probably your mind, its constant activity, its endless noise. You go to bed, but you don't feel rested. You wake up tired, as if you never really slept. That might be because your brain is still running, still caught in overdrive. Here's a simple practice to help: stop thinking so much about the past. Stop dreaming or worrying excessively about the future. Practice staying in the present moment. When you're truly present, your sleep improves. When you sleep, you sleep. When you eat, you eat. When you work, you work. But many of us live out of sync, working and thinking about eating, eating and thinking about sleeping, sleeping and thinking about work. That's not natural. Being present means there's a kind of harmony and synchronicity in your life. You are fully here in whatever you're doing. And this is the heart of the journey, to bring your full attention to the present. Once you do that, the quantity of sleep isn't as important as the quality. 7 hours might make you feel good, 6 might be the limit. You can push through 5 or 6 hours for a little while, but over time, that burns your energy reserves. And those reserves are hard to restore. Now, let's talk about energy in relation to 3 essential factors: diet, breath, and lifestyle. If you want to feel good during the day, these 3 things are the fastest way to improve your energy. First, your diet. Good, nutritious food fuels your body and mind. Second, your breath. Proper breathing supports oxygen flow and energy circulation. Third, your lifestyle. Things like waking up early enough, going to sleep at a reasonable hour, and having consistent habits. If all 3 are in place, your energy levels will likely be strong. If any one of these is off, say your diet is poor, or your breathing shallow, or your lifestyle chaotic, you'll still survive, but it's like burning through your essence. Ancient traditions talk about this essence as something precious that fuels your life force. Without proper care, you start to drain this essence, which shortens your vitality and ultimately your lifespan. It's simple. So, it all comes back to this: taking care of yourself with mindful attention to what you eat, how you breathe, and how you live day to day. Let's pause here for a moment, not to stop, but to notice. To notice how often we live in pieces. Our thoughts in one place, our body in another, our emotions hiding somewhere we haven't even looked. We chase productivity, crave connection, try to be better, but inside we feel scattered. The truth is, you don't have to be everywhere to be whole. You just have to be here. In this breath. In this body. With whatever is real for you now. And that's where real training begins, not just with your body, not only in the gym or temple, but in the everyday practice of wholeness. See, we're taught to think of strength as force. As pushing harder, doing more, getting things done. But there's another kind of strength, quieter, deeper, the kind that grows when you show up for yourself with consistency, when you align your actions with your inner truth, when you stay present even when things get uncomfortable. This is why discipline isn't about controlling yourself, it's about freeing yourself. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding structure. It comes from building one that supports your well-being. A routine that's not rigid, but rooted. Like the roots of a tree, it doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're grounded. That's how you rise tall and bend with the wind without breaking. In Shaolin, the daily structure, when we wake, when we eat, how we train, is not just about physical results. It's a container for presence. A path for transforming scattered energy into something focused, intentional, and alive. But let's be honest, the mind doesn't always like this. The mind wants comfort. It tells you, just rest a little longer, or you deserve a treat, or you'll start tomorrow. The mind negotiates, hesitates, argues. That's not a flaw, that's just conditioning. Your mind has been wired to seek short-term ease. But your spirit, that essence deep inside, craves depth, meaning, and liberation. The first time you resist a craving, you might feel like you're fighting yourself. But really, you're meeting yourself. You're coming face to face with the gap between impulse and intention. And inside that gap is your power. Real power is quiet. It's the moment you feel hunger and say, I can wait. The moment your muscles shake and you whisper, one more rep, the moment your mind spirals, and you breathe, return, and stay. That's strength. That's training. That's presence. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to control every thought or win every inner battle. You just need to return, to your breath, your body, your intention. Again and again. Not with harshness, but with clarity. Not to punish yourself, but to remember who you are underneath the noise. Because beneath the cravings, beyond the restless thoughts, there's a stillness. And inside that stillness is freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you want whenever you feel like it, but the freedom to choose what's right, what's true, what nourishes you at a soul level. You become someone who doesn't chase highs to escape the lows. Someone who doesn't abandon themselves when things get hard. Someone who doesn't need to perform peace but actually embodies it. That's not just discipline. That's devotion. Devotion to something deeper than image. Deeper than performance. A devotion to showing up, as you are, for who you're becoming. This devotion grows in small, quiet ways. In how you sit with discomfort. In how you speak to yourself after a mistake. In how you honor your commitments when no one's watching. That's where your real training happens, not just in the dramatic, cinematic moments, but in the silent, invisible ones. The ones that shape your spirit like water shapes stone, with patience, persistence, and purpose. So if you're feeling tired, unmotivated, or unsure, let me remind you gently, you're not broken. You're becoming. You're remembering. And it's okay if it feels messy. Healing is not linear. Growth is not glamorous. Presence is not always peaceful. But it's real. And in a world that's constantly pulling you away from yourself, choosing to stay present is a radical act of love. Devotion is the quiet art of tending to the simple things that keep you alive from the inside out, and nothing makes that clearer than the breath. Breathing is the first skill we master as infants, yet most adults drift through life half-breathing, shoulders raised, chest tight, mind racing. If you want a single practice that can shift your entire energy state in less than a minute, start here. Inhale slowly through the nose, let the belly round, count to 4, pause for a beat, exhale gently through a relaxed mouth to the count of 6. Do that 5 times before you open your phone in the morning and notice how your mood, focus, and even posture change. Breathwork isn't exotic, it's basic maintenance for your nervous system, flushing out stale tension, inviting fresh oxygen, telling the brain, we're safe, we're present. The mind may still chatter, but the body now has a signal it can trust, and that signal spreads calm like ripples across a pond. From breath we move to fuel, your diet. Think of food not as reward or punishment, but as conversation with your cells. Every bite says something. Greens whisper vitality, sugary snacks shout chaos, processed additives mumble confusion. You don't have to become a monk overnight, just begin noticing how a meal makes you feel 2 hours later. Light, steady, clear, or foggy, heavy, restless. Let that feedback guide your choices more than any trend or hashtag. When you eat with awareness, you start to sense subtler cues, how certain spices warm the blood, how fermented foods brighten the gut, how hydration lifts the mind. Over time, you build an intuitive menu that supports both your training sessions and your evenings of quiet reflection. This isn't restriction. It's respect for the living ecosystem that is you. Now stitch breath and diet into a lifestyle rhythm that honors sunrise and sunset. Wake before the city noise swells, give yourself 10 unhurried minutes of gentle stretching or standing meditation, then let breakfast be deliberate, not grabbed between notifications. Block focused work in 90-minute waves, each one followed by a brief reset. Walk, sip water, look at the sky. Train your body in the late morning or late afternoon when muscle temperature and coordination peak. When evening comes, lower the lights, silence the digital feed, and gift your senses something soothing, a warm shower, quiet music, a few lines from a book that nourishes the heart. None of this is glamorous, yet it is precisely this ordinary cadence that safeguards your extraordinary essence. And when life inevitably throws curveballs, the structure you've built becomes a safety net rather than a cage. You can flex, adapt, and return without losing yourself. We'll explore that adaptability next, how to stay present when schedules collapse, travel disrupts routine, or unexpected emotions surge. Consider this the bridge between discipline and spontaneity, the space where true resilience is forged. Stay with me, the journey is just warming up. Flexibility is the secret hinge on which real discipline swings. Picture your daily rhythm as bamboo, rooted, upright, yet able to bend when storms blow in. Travel delays your morning stretch. Flight turbulence ruins your meditation. A sudden family crisis shreds your schedule. Good, here's the field test. Presence that requires perfect conditions isn't presence, it's performance. Real presence adapts. When the phone rings with bad news, notice the first tight breath, place a hand on your belly, draw in slowly, exhale twice as long. 30 seconds, and your nervous system shifts from panic to clarity. When the hotel gym is closed, drop to the carpet, 10 slow push-ups, 15 squats, a minute of plank, 2 minutes of mindful breathing. 10 minutes later, blood is circulating, and the mind thanks you for not abandoning the body. Missed your planned meal? Scan the closest options, choose the one that fuels rather than numbs, even if it's just a piece of fruit and some nuts. Adaptation isn't downgrade, it's intelligence in motion. Emotional turbulence asks for the same agility. A wave of anger, jealousy, or grief rises, let it register in the body first, heat in the chest, flutter in the gut, dampness behind the eyes. Name it softly, anger, sadness, fear, as though greeting an old friend. Then give it space, 3 deliberate breaths, shoulders unclenched, jaw relaxed. You're not suppressing, you're shepherding raw energy so it doesn't hijack your next words or actions. Sometimes that means stepping outside for fresh air, sometimes scribbling in a notebook until the surge calms. The point is, you remain the conductor, the emotion becomes part of the orchestra rather than a soloist who steals the show. Now zoom out. Life will periodically stack disruptions, tight deadlines, jet lag, social obligations, unexpected losses. Resilience is triage. Ask 3 questions. What is essential right now? What can wait? What must be released? Essential might be a brief workout to reset your chemistry, a wholesome snack to stabilize blood sugar, a call to someone who grounds you. Waiting might be emails, errands, even some training goals. Releasing might be the fantasy of a flawless routine or the guilt of falling short. Each choice is a micro-victory that keeps you aligned with your deeper intention, to live awake, embodied, free. Technology complicates the equation, so wield it wisely. Set focus modes that mute non-critical notifications, batch social media into designated windows, and remember that the device is your servant, not your sovereign. When you must be online, practice digital presence, read one article start to finish without hopping tabs, watch a video without simultaneously scrolling comments, reply to messages with full attention. Quality over quantity recalibrates the nervous system the same way slow breathing does. Even community, friends, partners, colleagues, demands adaptive presence. You may strive for routine, but others have patterns of their own. Coordination requires listening without mentally drafting your rebuttal, offering support without draining your reserves, setting boundaries without armoring the heart. Some days the most disciplined act is a gentle no, freeing time for recovery. Other days it's a wholehearted yes, stepping outside comfort to help someone in need. Both flow from the same source, awareness of inner capacity in that moment. Finally, keep a recovery ritual for nights that unravel. When you tumble into bed later than planned, perform a mini reset, 3 slow nasal breaths, a mental scan from toes to crown releasing tension, a silent gratitude for one thing that went well, however small. This 2-minute ritual bookmarks the day with intention, telling the subconscious, we did our best, we rest now. Sleep quality improves, and dawn feels less like defeat, more like renewal. With adaptability woven into discipline, you're no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You carry your temple within. Sustainable discipline is not forged in intensity, it's nurtured in cycles, ebb and flow, focus and rest, striving and surrender. Just as nature doesn't bloom all year round, neither should you expect constant output from your mind or body. Long-term consistency requires rhythm, not rigidity. Think of your practice not as a straight line of progress, but as a spiral staircase. Sometimes you circle back, feel like you're in the same place, but you're higher now, with a wider view, a deeper breath. This is where many people fall off. They expect exponential improvement, day after day. But human growth happens in layers. Plateaus aren't failures, they're invitations to rest, absorb, recalibrate. If a week of meditation feels stale, don't quit, adjust. Shift from silent sitting to mindful walking. Light incense. Change your posture. Explore guided sessions or ambient soundscapes. The goal isn't novelty, it's attunement. What nourishes presence today might differ from yesterday, and that's not a flaw. It's your inner ecology responding to real conditions. Let's also talk about burnout, the silent assassin of modern ambition. You can be doing all the right things and still find yourself exhausted, uninspired, numb. That's not weakness, it's a signal. When willpower is depleted, it's time to pivot toward nourishment. Rest doesn't only mean sleep, it can mean time in nature, laughter with friends, creative play, reading something that stirs your soul, or simply letting yourself do nothing without guilt. You don't earn rest by hustling. You need rest to keep going. Reflection is your compass. At the end of each week, ask, what felt alive? What felt heavy? Where did I show up fully? Where did I check out? No judgment, just observation. This honest inventory helps you notice patterns. Maybe social media derails your mornings, or late night snacking dulls your sleep. You're not fixing yourself, you're listening, adjusting, refining. Awareness itself begins to shift behavior, naturally, gently, without the self-punishment loop that often accompanies discipline. And here's a powerful shift. Instead of asking, "How can I stay motivated?" try asking, "How can I stay connected?" Motivation is fickle, dependent on mood, weather, hormones, headlines. But connection, to your breath, your values, your deeper why, is steadying. Write your intentions down. Post reminders where your eyes rest often, a word, a phrase, a symbol. When you're tempted to give up, reconnect, not to pressure yourself, but to remember who you are and what you're really practicing for. Community matters here, too. Self-discipline doesn't mean self-isolation. Share your journey with someone who listens without judgment, a friend, a teacher, a group. Let them reflect your progress when you forget. Let them remind you that progress isn't just hitting targets, but becoming softer, steadier, more open. Accountability rooted in love is not control, it's support. Finally, understand this: the real fruit of discipline is not external success, but internal freedom. When you learn to act in alignment with your deeper truth, regardless of circumstances, you're no longer reactive. You become a conscious co-creator of your life. Your presence grows roots. Your energy stops leaking into distraction. Your spirit learns to trust itself. And in that trust, something miraculous begins to unfold, not overnight, not in a burst, but like spring after a long winter. Quietly. Inevitably. Wholeheartedly.